We live in a truly exciting era. Mankind is discovering new things all the time. Sometimes we find them right under our noses and in the most unlikely places. What if all we ever needed to do to make our car engines more efficient was to vaporize the fuel using the exhaust from the engine itself? It sounds simple, but all the great discoveries, from the revelation that the world was round to the principles of flight itself, have come from simple observations of the world around us. The film you're about to see could change your thinking about the way we could be using energy in America. We call it Your Declaration of Energy Independence, because you can gain energy independence whether or not everybody else does. It's completely up to you. Better World Technologies and Dutchman Enterprises are working together on a new and exciting way to modify car engines. You may have a hard time believing what you're about to see, but it's true. There's some very exciting research going on at this compound in New Jersey, and also at a second facility in the Detroit area. Let's go inside and take a look. Here we are at the facility where an exciting engine modification process has been developed by the same company that hopes to bring you free electricity. You know, people talk about things being too good to be true, but I think both of these technologies are too good to be ignored. These guys are going to run this little internal combustion machine on some rather unusual fuel just to prove that it can be done. Imagine running your engine on pickle juice, or Coke, or Pepsi, or anything liquid. The secret to doing that is that they're running the fuel line through the exhaust pipe and vaporizing the fuel before it goes into the engine. The other thing that they're doing is tuning the engine to the fuel by determining the length of a reactor rod that fits into the fuel line. This is a vitally important step in the process. The length and position of the rod determines the efficiency of the engine based upon the consistency of the fuel. If the fuel used changes, this rod must also be changed for the engine to be efficient. When this technology is used, they start off with a 12-inch long rod and then let the engine itself determine what the length of the rod for the fuel being used needs to be. That sounds crazy, but it does work that way. The rod is placed in the fuel line, which runs inside the hot exhaust line. The whole apparatus is run on the fuel mixture to be used while facing north for 40 minutes. At the end of that time, a compass is used to go up the rod, and where the needle on the compass points south, a chalk mark is made, and continuing upward, when the needle reverses itself and points north, another mark is made. Then the 12-inch rod is cut precisely at those places, and the shorter rod is put in place where the marks were, and the engine is thus tuned to that particular fuel. If the fuel changes, the rod must be replaced. Now, for the viewer to get the idea of how amazing the technology is, they'll do a demonstration with their portable engine. Mechanically, it's just like the one you have in your car. First, they'll mix a rather unusual fuel mixture. They start off with a little gas to have some carbon to start the engine. To this, they will add Pepsi. I think that it's the law that if you use Pepsi, you have to also use Coke. And they can also put in coffee or Frappuccino. Also some pickle juice, hot sauce, soy sauce, ketchup for the kids, barbecue sauce, A1 sauce, anything liquid. Now for something truly amazing. If they put this black oil in with your fuel, your car would smoke like a flak machine from World War II. Let's put a good shot of this in. Hey, did you ever put sugar in someone else's gas tank? Well, I hope not, but I'm sure you never put it in your own gas tank. What would happen if you put sugar in the fuel tank of your unmodified car? Well, it would freeze up the engine right there and then. But let's put a healthy dose of sugar in this engine. One final ingredient is aqua velva, aftershave lotion. The reason for this is because one of these guys will put his face down here where the exhaust comes out and breathe the exhaust from this engine. And we do want it to smell nice. Do not attempt to do what you're about to see with your unmodified car. But they can do it here because the exhaust coming out will not be hot. They'll also use a white rag to prove there's no pollution. The white rag should get black, but it won't, even though they put all that dirty oil in. With his face in the exhaust, he will take deep breaths and tears will not streak down his face, and he will not cough. Both of these events will happen to you if you're foolish enough to put your face in front of the exhaust of your unmodified engine. Well, here we have a rather weird fuel mixture. Let's see if this engine will run on it. Of course, this is a rather expensive fuel, so to show you economy, they'll now run it on 80% water and only 20% gasoline. What could that do for your gas mileage? Well, it could increase it up to 5 times. If you get more than 2% water in your gas tank with your unmodified car engine, it won't even run. Watch what happens when they mix 80% water in. I would also briefly like to show you that they can run an engine specifically built with no exhaust coming out of the engine. Right now, if you're lucky, your engine is about 18% efficient, which means that for every dollar's worth of gas you're buying, you're only getting about 18 cents worth of travel. Where's the other 82 cents on every dollar's worth of gas going? Into the environment as pollution. They can actually shut off the exhaust and recycle the unburned gas back into the engine until all of it is burned. Aside from heat losses, the process is about 80% efficient, and there is no pollution. Of course, that could get you 4 times the mileage you're getting now. They just want to show you what could happen if the car manufacturers would start building their engines this way. Now, experts will tell you this is impossible because they have not yet discovered the reactor rod principles and have forgotten that the intake of all engines is a vacuum. We won't attempt at this time to explain this. We'll just run it with the exhaust open, and while it's running, we'll shut off the exhaust and it'll keep running. Unlike your unmodified car, a potato in the tailpipe would not stop this engine. Recently, the History Channel ran a show on modern marvels called Gasoline. You can purchase a copy of this video from the History Channel. In it, experts explain that it's extremely important to vaporize the fuel going into your internal combustion engine. If not, you get a misfire, and that causes bad fuel mileage. What they don't explain is why you have a computer on your new car that makes sure that no vapors are injected into your engine. It's as if the car manufacturers and the gas refiners are working together to ensure low gas mileage. Do they want you to have bad gas mileage? Other experts in this History Channel video explain that there is a difference between the gas you buy in the summer and the gas you buy in the winter. The refiners also admit that the same brand of gas you're buying in California is a different mixture than the gas you're buying in Montana. Supposedly, the one in California gets less mileage, but is cleaner. In fact, According to these experts, there are not only 103 different mixtures, but they can put additives into their gas just before delivering it. With such inconsistent product, how could anyone predict your gas mileage? Using which gasoline? And where? Did they do this to defeat this fuel vaporization technology that has been known to the industry for years? Now, because of these ever-changing fuel mixtures, the length of this reactor rod has to be changed. There are two ways to modify an engine to our technology. One makes it very difficult to change the rod, and the other makes it considerably easier to do so. Since heat is necessary to vaporize the fuel, the idea is to use the hot exhaust system for that purpose. That can be done either from inside the exhaust line or from the exterior of the exhaust manifolds that get as hot as 900 degrees Fahrenheit. This trombone-looking affair is placed right onto the manifold and packed with heat putty. To use the manifolds, it takes a full day for someone who knows what he's doing to modify an engine because so much has to be removed in order to gain access to the manifolds. After that, it all has to be put back. To modify the engine using the inside of the exhaust line merely requires access to the exhaust pipe. A piece of pipe is removed and replaced with a specially bent pipe that makes inserting the reactor rod easy. If it needs changing in this case, it's under the car and easily accessible and easy to change. But in this case, it's not easy to change and takes a whole day rather than a matter of minutes to get to. The nice thing about the exhaust pipe modification is that it just takes a matter of minutes to change the reactor rod if your supplier changes their mixture. If it's legal for mechanics in your state to do, they can just give you a quick and inexpensive tune-up every year when your gas supplier changes over from summer to winter fuel. You will also know every time the supplier puts additives into the gas when it causes your mileage to drop back to what it had been before you had modified your car. And you can blow the whistle on the suppliers when they're trying to increase their profits by giving your neighbors an unexpected and unwanted change in fuel economy.